Elena had taken the job as a nanny for Sophie, the daughter of a powerful millionaire, not because of the money but because she had always loved children. From the very first day, she noticed that Sophie wasn't like other kids. She was fragile, struggling with a rare illness that left her restless at night. Sleep never came easily to her, and the house was often filled with silence broken only by Sophie's tired sighs. Most nights, Elena would sit beside the little girl's bed, refusing to leave her alone. She would hum old lullabies her grandmother once sang to her, stroking Sophie's hair gently until her breathing slowed. The house was enormous and cold, but in that small bedroom, Elena created a world of warmth and safety. On one such night, Sophie's wide eyes blinked slowly, fighting exhaustion. With a soft voice, she whispered, "You're the only one who makes me feel safe." The words pierced Elena's heart. She realized how deeply lonely Sophie must have felt in a home filled with wealth but not love. Elena held the girl's tiny hand, silently promising herself that as long as she was there, Sophie would never feel unloved or forgotten. Slowly, Sophie's eyelids grew heavy, and she drifted into the kind of peaceful sleep she so rarely found. In that quiet moment, Elena understood that sometimes the greatest comfort doesn't come from medicine or luxury, it comes from someone willing to stay, to listen, and to care. Elena's mornings always began the same way, sunlight flooding through the tall glass windows of the mansion, maids rushing about, and Sophie sitting quietly at the breakfast table. The little girl had everything most children could dream of: sparkling dresses, the latest toys, and a home so grand it felt like a palace. Yet, despite all the luxury around her, Sophie's eyes often carried a sadness that money could never erase. Her father, a powerful businessman, was almost always away. Even when he was home, his mind was lost in phone calls and meetings. To him, providing wealth was enough, but what Sophie craved was something far simpler: time, affection, and laughter. Elena could see it in the way Sophie's face lit up at the smallest gestures, when Elena braided her hair into two neat plaits, when she read her fairy tales aloud with silly voices, or when she held her hand during walks in the garden. Elena also noticed how Sophie loved to give. One afternoon, when the driver looked tired, Sophie offered him her favorite cookies, saying, "You should eat, too." On another day, she picked fresh flowers and handed them to the housemaid with a shy smile. These small acts revealed a pure, gentle heart beneath her frail appearance. Elena realized that Sophie didn't just need care, she needed connection. In the absence of her father's attention, Elena became more than a nanny. She was a friend, a comfort, and the closest thing to family Sophie truly felt she had. One evening, as Elena tucked Sophie into bed, she noticed the little girl was unusually quiet. Instead of asking for a story or a song, Sophie stared at the ceiling, her small fingers fiddling with the edge of her blanket. After a long pause, she turned to Elena and whispered, "I don't want more toys, or new dresses. I just want my daddy to eat dinner with me, like other families do." The word struck Elena deeply. For all the wealth that surrounded Sophie, what she longed for was something priceless: her father's presence. Elena's heart ached as she realized how alone the child must have felt, growing up in a house where love was too often replaced with luxury. That night, after Sophie finally drifted off to sleep, Elena sat at her small desk with pen and paper. She thought of Sophie's trembling voice, her unspoken longing, and her innocence. Then, with steady hands, she began to write a letter, not as herself, but as Sophie. In the note, she kept the words simple and honest. "Daddy, I don't need anything else. I just need you." When the letter was finished, Elena folded it carefully and placed it on the millionaire's desk, knowing he would see it the next morning. She wasn't sure how he would react, whether he would dismiss it as childish or let it sink into his heart, but she knew Sophie's feelings deserved to be heard. In that quiet act, Elena carried Sophie's hope forward, planting the seed for a change neither of them could yet imagine. Late that night, the mansion was silent except for the faint ticking of a golden clock in the study. The millionaire sat at his desk, skimming through contracts and numbers, when his eyes fell on a folded piece of paper placed neatly on top of his files. Curious, he opened it, and froze. The handwriting was small, uneven, and innocent. The words were simple, yet they struck him harder than any business deal ever could. Daddy, I don't need toys or dresses. I just need you. For a moment, he couldn't breathe. His chest tightened as guilt washed over him. He had built empires, signed million-dollar deals, and earned the respect of the world, but in doing so, he had failed the one person who mattered most, his little girl. He stood abruptly, his chair scraping against the marble floor, and rushed to Sophie's room. There, under the soft glow of a night lamp, he found her fast asleep, her tiny hand curled around Elena's as the nanny lay beside her, keeping her safe. The sight shattered him. Sophie looked peaceful in a way he hadn't seen in years, and for the first time, he realized that someone else had given her what he hadn't: comfort, love, and presence. His throat tightened, and to his own surprise, tears welled in his eyes. Standing at the doorway, the proud, hardened man who had never bowed to anyone felt utterly small. In that quiet moment, he understood, no fortune could replace the time he had lost with his daughter. The following evening, the atmosphere in the mansion felt different. For the first time in years, the long dining table wasn't set for guests or business partners, it was set for family. Sophie walked in, expecting another quiet dinner alone with Elena, but instead, she saw her father seated at the head of the table, waiting. Her eyes widened in disbelief. "Daddy," she whispered. The man who was always too busy, too far away, now looked at her with a warmth she had never seen before. He opened his arms, and Sophie ran into them, clinging to him as if she'd never let go. Tears glistened in her eyes as she whispered, "I missed you." Throughout dinner, Sophie laughed more than she had in months. She told stories, made silly faces, and even fed her father a bite of dessert. The mansion, once filled with silence, now echoed with the sound of family. Elena watched from the side, her heart swelling with quiet joy. When the meal ended, the millionaire turned to Elena, his voice heavy with gratitude. "You didn't just care for my daughter. You gave her back her childhood. And you gave me back something I didn't even realize I had lost." In that moment, Elena knew her small act of compassion had transformed not just Sophie's life, but her father's as well. The story closes with a simple truth: sometimes the greatest miracles don't come from money or power, they come from love, time, and the courage to truly be there for one another.